Lowry and Book back to receive for the Blue Jays.
Hi, everybody. We are live at Liberty Hospital Activity Complex in Liberty, Missouri for tonight's game on 810varsity.com between the Liberty Blue Jays and the Lee's Summit Tigers. And we apologize for our technical difficulties. We have 1:04 left in the first quarter, and it has been Lee's Summit that has dominated so far. They lead it 10-0. Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Cole. Our videographer today is Jim McClintock, and Jim has been doing yeoman's work trying to get us on the air tonight. We appreciate all of his efforts, and Liberty now has the ball for the third time tonight as they move here in the first quarter. Their quarterback is Alex Roush, a 6'2 senior who completes that pass up to the 25-yard line, and second down coming up. Here's a summary of what you've missed so far. The Tigers won the coin toss and deferred the kickoff they will receive in the second half. That meant Liberty started their first drive on their own 20-yard line. It was a 3-and-out, and a very poor punt by Michael Book set up Lee's Summit from the Liberty 35. After their defense was good, the offense took over in prime scoring position. They picked up a 3rd and 6 on the drive, and then a couple of plays later, Landon Willis went in around the left end, 7 yards out, a touchdown run with the Jacob Moracek extra point, making it 7-0, and that came with 8:25 left in this first quarter. Liberty had the ball again and again. After the kickoff went into the end zone, they started at their own 20. This time the Blue Jays did pick up a first down, but they were forced to punt from their own 29. The ensuing possession for Lee's Summit started at their own 34. The backup quarterback, and they've been alternating quarterbacks tonight for Lee's Summit, Darius Pearsall started, and now this long run comes from Jack Lowry. He's a speedster, and he's going to be on the board for Liberty with just a second or so left in the first quarter. In fact, the clock runs out. So Liberty comes back after being down 10-0 on the final play of the quarter, and they will have the extra point coming up. But they're right back in this game behind Jack Lowry, a senior who last year was more of a wide receiver. He was a great wide receiver, but they put him in at running back full-time this year, 88 attempts last year, but he has a long run here to put Liberty on the board at the end of the first quarter. The untimed down coming up here for Liberty. That run went right around 78 yards, again unofficially, and the extra point is good. And so Lee's Summit still leads it by a score of 10-7 on Jack Lowry's first touchdown run of the year. And it's interesting because Lowry had been bottled up by Lee's Summit. Again, we talked about Liberty not able to do much on their first two drives. They did punt after their second drive, and that's where we were talking about Lee's Summit starting at their own 34. And they have been alternating those quarterbacks, Pearsall and Kaya Tupinio. Tupinio was the star of the second drive, a key fourth down run. He was stopped in the backfield, but ended up scampering away and getting a 4th and 5 pickup of a first down. Then Jacob Moracek, as Liberty's defense stiffened, hit a 42-yard field goal, and that came with 1:14 to play in the first quarter before that long run by Jack Lowry that you saw just a moment ago. So 10-7, Lee's Summit leads it, and it has been an exciting end to the first quarter. You got here just in time if you are joining us on 810varsity.com as we have Lee's Summit tonight against Liberty. This is a matchup that we haven't seen for the last 4 years, as the two teams have been in different conferences, but this year Lee's Summit drops out of the Gold Conference and the Suburban Conferences. They drop down a level to the Red Conference, where Liberty was the champion last year. The Blue Jays went 8-3 overall and 5-0 in the Suburban Red. They have 6 returning offensive starters and 5 on defense, and right now they trail Lee's Summit by a score of 10-7. One of the other stories that has been prevalent here in this game is the play of Landon Willis, and he is back deep. as Moracek gets ready to kick it off, and it's headed for Willis, but it'll drive him into the end zone. Let's talk about Willis a little bit. He did pick up that 7-yard touchdown run for Lee Summit, but he is also an outstanding defensive player. He started last year as a safety. They moved him to cornerback, where he picked off 5 passes last year, and this year Willis is a big part of the offense. Landon is a 5'11", 160-pound junior. He did rush a few times last year. He appeared in 5 games as a running back, but averaged 5.5 yards per carry, including a touchdown against Joplin. We've seen Willis in the backfield. We've seen Micah Manning in the backfield. Pearsall, when he's not playing quarterback, has been lining up as a wideout. And so Lee Summit has a lot of different tools that they can use. And right now they're going back to Kaya Topinio at quarterback. It looks like Willis is the running back, and on the midline option, that's Willis to the 23-yard line. Yep, check that, Micah Manning. He's a 5'10", 164-pound junior. Lee Summit, their head coach Eric Thomas, is in his 9th year. They went 5-6 overall last year, and in the big conference, the Gold Conference, they were 2-4. They have 4 offensive starters and 9 defensive starters returning for the 2018 campaign. But one of the highlights of their last year was that they knocked off number 1 seeded Lee Summit West in the district tournament. And that is something that they're trying to build on this year. Second down at about 6. And not a lot of running room there up to the 25-yard line will leave Lee Summit with 3rd down and 5. The Tigers, number 17 in the A-10 varsity top 25 this season to start out preseason. Liberty is number 24 in the A-10 varsity top 25. And so a matchup of 2 teams rated in the top 25. 10:56 left to go first half. 10-7. It's Lee Summit on top. They had a 10-0 lead before the long run by the speedster Jack Lowry, who runs a 4.400. Topinio to throw and nearly picked off, but that'll be a first down on a nice comeback route at the 37-yard line. And hauling that in, it is going to be Ryan Belt. Ryan plays 3 different positions. He's a junior, 6 feet 2 inches tall. He'll play that wideout spot. He can also play some quarterback, and we have seen him in the backfield along with his abilities at cornerback at times for the Tigers. So a first down for Lee Summit. A long field goal by Jacob Moracek, 42 yards, along with a 7-yard touchdown run for the Tigers. This is Pearsall, and he will keep it himself to the 39, where he is dragged down by Liberty. Liberty's starting defense, Dominic Mesh, Ethan Moore, and Matt Lawson on the front line. They'll go with 4 backers. The outside backers will be Gray and Drake Smith. Jackson White and Jalen Weston are the inside linebackers. Cornerbacks Carson Grampus and Carroll Simpson. And the free safety, Michael Book. The strong safety is Joe Charest. Second down, 7. Lee Summit is moving into a slight breeze. It's not much of a win, but it is something to contend with. And this time the look for Willis, and he can't get very much, as Liberty has done a nice job defensively adjusting against Willis. And again, Willis asked to do so many things on this team. He's a primary defensive player, and he's made a couple of nice stops so far in this game. But also a heavy load on offense this year, and he has been alternating in and out of that backfield. We'll see what Lee Summit will do here on 3rd down and about 6. A 3-man front for Liberty, and now movement on the line, and that's going to cost Lee Summit. Our referee tonight is Gene Millentree. He's joined by Jason Hill, Dan Nanadoma, Aaron Johnson, and Jonathan Thurston. And they're going to say that it was offsides against Liberty, so Liberty commits the foul, and that's going to be a big break for Lee Summit, leaving the Tigers with 3rd down and 1. Last year, Lee Summit scored 21 points per game, averaged 131 yards passing and 190 yards rushing. And this will be a first down a little bit more, as into Liberty territory is Ryan Belt, the versatile running back in this case, who brings it across the midfield line. 8:49 to play. Lee Summit leads it 10-7. Both of these teams are in the Class 6 4th District, Lee Summit and Liberty, along with West from Lee Summit and Lee Summit North. Liberty North, Park Hill, Ray-Pec, and Rockhorse are all in the same district. And there's a fine defensive play by Liberty as they get the stop and a loss. Ethan Moore, they say, is in on the tackle. And they're going to actually give him forward progress to the 46-yard line. So 2nd down and 9. Darius Pearsall is a junior, and he's playing quarterback at the moment. Again, they've alternated quarterbacks tonight. Manning is the running back. Little comeback route. Amari Kemp with the catch and still struggling and finally knocked out of bounds at 40. Let's see where they call him down, and it looks to be the 41, maybe the 42-yard line. So Amari Kemp, a 6'2 junior, makes his 2nd catch of the night. He had one earlier. And it will leave the Tigers 3rd down and 4. 7:51 remaining in the first half. At halftime, we'll have a special guest. We're expecting to visit with former Liberty Activities Director Steve Butler. Steve was one of the people very much behind this new district activity complex, the Liberty Hospital Activity Complex here for Liberty High School. Of course, the field at Liberty North as well. 2nd year for this facility. Again in there, Tapino, hands off, but there is no room inside, and it'll be 4th down for Lee Summit. Manning tried to stick it up there, and the 5'10 junior was shoved backwards. He does get about a half a yard, so it's going to be 4th down and a long 3. Out of field goal range. Even though Marachek had a 42-yarder, they now look like they will bring in the special teams, and let's see if they will kick it away, and it looks like they will. And it's going to be Tapino who's back at midfield looking to boot it away. Toward the corner, and let's see, well, they'll mark it. I'm going to say apparently it went into the end zone. No, they're walking it out here on the corner, and they're going to mark it out at about the 4. So Tapino comes through with a big punt, and he's done a little bit of everything like we said. He's lined up as a wide receiver tonight. He's played quarterback, and now he has punted the ball and put it inside the 5-yard line. So a nice job by Kaya Tapino, a junior at 5'11 and 200 pounds. And Liberty's offense is backed up, but they just got a big play a few moments ago from Jack Lowry, who went approximately 78 yards with a touchdown run. .658 to play in the half. This is by far the worst field position that Liberty has had. They've been backed up to their 20 on kicks that have gone into the end zone. Lee Summit won the toss but deferred. Roush going to work quickly, and what a hit put on over there at the 5-yard line. And I think that might be Landon Willis, who has played such a great ball game so far for Lee Summit, and they are expecting great things from him through the year. They're going to give the catch a gain of about 2. That's Jacob Brown that made the catch. The sophomore, though, was rocked over there by Willis. And you can see why they've got high hopes for Landon Willis. 68 tackles last year. Last year, just 1 tackle for a loss, but 5 interceptions leading to Gold Conference. And Lowry free again. Lowry has Willis to beat and brought down at around the 44-yard line. Jack Lowry is a 5'11 senior. Last year as a part-time running back, he averaged 5.8 per carry and had 4 touchdowns. But he has been the man tonight with a long touchdown run, and now a run that gets Liberty out of trouble with 6:14 remaining in the first half. Roush is a senior quarterback. And on the run, low. Let's see if they'll call it a catch or not. It's right at the first down sticks. And apparently not. It's going to be incomplete. Roush on the far side was looking for Michael Book, a 6'3 junior. Lee Summit had a 10-0 lead before Lowry's 78-yard run, and now Lowry has electrified the home crowd with a long run out to the midfield area. Second down and 10 coming up for the Blue Jays. Lowry got a break, but now he's back out onto the field, coming in at tailback. Quentin Rash was in on the pass play, a junior. Lowry will take it out of the backfield. Good block out ahead. And Lowry is dangerous in open space. He should have enough for the first down at the Lee Summit 45. Over to stop him was middle linebacker Austin Spencer of Lee Summit, and he is a story, a part-time starter last year. The 5'8 senior had 58 tackles last year, including 5 tackles for a loss and 1 sack. And head coach Eric Thomas said he is really the guy that runs their defense on the field at that middle backer spot. A first down for Liberty. After trailing 10-0, they look to possibly tie or take the lead here. 6 minutes left in the first half. The 2-by-2 sets. And nowhere to go for the backup Quentin Rash as he's thrown for a loss of about 3. Felix Anudike made the tackle, and talking about some of the outstanding players in this game, Anudike has been relatively quiet so far, but he will not be quiet all year. He's a kid that's at 6'3", 206 pounds, just a junior, is a Division I prospect. You will find this hard to believe as I did, but last year he had 20 tackles for losses as a sophomore, 3 sacks, 61 total tackles, and he made the tackle that time for a tackle for a loss. Second down 13, they'll blow this play dead. And let's see what this is all about. It's a delay of game, it looks like. So the 25-second clock runs out here with 5:15 left in the second quarter. And the Jays will be marched back inside Lee Summit territory. Game started off with Landon Willis' 7-yard touchdown run with 8:25 left in the first quarter. Then Jacob Maracek of Lee Summit made it 10-0 on a 42-yard field goal. And for Liberty, Jack Lowry with no time left on the clock in the first quarter, a 78-yard run around the right end. And that's where we are here at 10-7. Stacked 2-by-2 on the outside. Roush stepping up underneath. And that will be good for a gain of about 10. So Roush showing all sorts of presence, looking for a receiver and finally finding one. And it's Smith that makes the catch. Drake is a 5'9 junior. And that leaves Liberty with a lot more manageable 3rd down and 6. This time the Blue Jays will send 1 to the narrow side of the field and 3 to the right side. Lowry gets a good block in the backfield. He's got a man. Smith over the top at the 20-yard line. I think, though, the man that made the play was Lowry in the backfield picking up a blitzer, because he leveled that man and gave Lowry another step to throw, who made a beautiful over-the-top throw to Smith. It'll be marked down at the 21-yard line, and the Blue Jays coming alive offensively now. Into the game, Taryn Winter is a junior running back. He's wearing number 22. That's Winters. It's in motion. The handoff straight up the middle. And Lowry across the 20 to around the 19. That'll be good for 2 or maybe 3 for Lowry, going straight up the middle with 3:39 left in the second quarter. A-10 varsity coverage of high school football tonight, kicking off in the state of Missouri. Several other games being broadcast tonight. Park Hill and Lee Summit West, Ray Peck and Park Hill South. St. Joe Central and Smithville, and over at William Jewell College here in Liberty, it's Maryville and Blair Oaks. All part of the package tonight on 810varsity.com, now in its 10th year with 8 years under their belts streaming games. This is Winters just into the game, trying to get around that edge. He might have picked up a yard or two, but it's going to leave Liberty with third down and about 6 or 7. 2:50 left, first half. Again, at halftime, we're hoping to visit with a longtime activities director here at Liberty High School, Steve Butler. A 3-by-1 set for Liberty. Lowry in the backfield. Roush has his man to the 8-yard line. And Evan Strike, the all-conference receiver from last year, picks up his first catch, and that'll be good for a first down. Evan Strike is 6'2" and 160 pounds. He had 4 touchdowns in 8 games last year. 13 receptions, 205 yards. But again, as this offense develops, they're expecting him to be a bigger and bigger part of it. And Strike picks up the first down on the catch from Roush. First and goal from about the 9.5. Straight ahead. This is Nathan Gray, who's an all-conference performer from a year ago, and he's across the 5-yard line. Gray was not only all-conference as a fullback, or a halfback, if you will, an H-back, but he was also a second-team All-State performer. He's a senior this year, 5'11" and 185 pounds, 152 and counting here in the second quarter. Liberty down 10-0 early in this game, looking to take the lead with a touchdown. And again, it's Gray, and he's close. And Gray is into the end zone from about 4 yards out. Gray's run comes with 1:32 left in the first half, and Liberty has the lead for the first time tonight, pending the extra point. Grant Russ is their place kicker. Chad Freegun has had to find new specialists this year, and Grant Russ will be the kicker. Well, let's see. Roush is still out there with the offense, and it looks like there will be a timeout taken. So Liberty will think about it. They line up with the offense initially, and then we'll see if they will kick it. We'll take a break and be back in just a moment. And we're back at Liberty High School, the Liberty Hospital Activity Complex, where Liberty has just taken the lead on a 4-yard run by Nathan Gray, pending the extra point, and they're going to bring their offense back out on the field. So Alex Roush, the quarterback, will have Lowry in there at the tailback spot. They'll put 2 receivers over on the right side with an H-back, Gray, in the backfield. 1 receiver is to the left. That's Gray in motion, and maybe too much motion. We'll see as they blow that play dead. Again, Lee Summit was out to a 10-0 lead early. Lowry, a long touchdown run. And now the run by Nathan Gray on a good Liberty drive that started back at their own 4-yard line. And that looks like with the penalty, they will bring out Grant Russ. He's a senior who will try to tack on the extra point. The spot from Roush will come at the 15-yard line. And a strong leg, and it is up and it is good. So Liberty comes roaring back. They lead it 13-10.
Blue Jays 13, Tigers 10.
And we'll be back right after this. So with a minute 32 left, Liberty has taken a lead here, 13-10 over Lee Summit. And the kickoff coming, they've got Willis back deep. And he has been a force in this game, but it's been Liberty in the second quarter, really spurred on by that long run when they were down 10-0. Lowry's long run got him on the board. The final play of the first quarter in Liberty with a very long drive, a 96-yard drive now has taken the lead. And Willis in the end zone. It will be a touchback and start at the 20-yard line. And now a little bit of a delay here as the kickoff coming up. We'll tell you again that A10varsity.com will be your home all year for high school football, both in Missouri and when Kansas starts. A10 Varsity started in 2009, and this is year number 10. Again, the webcast started around the metro area in 2011. Don't forget, this year, during the regular season, you can watch the live games presented, and of course, keep up with player stats, game recaps, and the Player of the Year watch, all on A10varsity.com. Steve Butler will be our guest at halftime, a minute 32 away on the game clock, as the former activities director at Liberty High School will be our guest. Liberty has got a lot to cheer about these days with this new facility, and tonight in particular coming back from a 10-0 deficit. This looks like it will be Pearsall back at quarterback, under pressure and right through the hands of a Blue Jay and then dropped at the 30-yard line. Tough play at the 30. They were looking for Amari Kemp. Pearsall, as we said, has alternated at quarterback tonight with Kaya Tapinio. Now 2nd and 10. And Tapinio is going to take this snap. He sends freshman Adrian Block out to the left. And the midline option, Tapinio diving out to the 23. And it'll leave Lee Summit with 3rd down and 7. 1:15 and counting in the first half. Liberty 13 and Lee Summit 10. Eric Thomas is the 9th-year head coach for Lee Summit. And on the other sideline, Chad Freegan is in his 8th year. 24 years overall in the system, though, at Liberty. And now his defense facing 3rd down and 6. Pinio handing off. This is Manning again, and he'll be short of a 1st down, it looks like, at the 29-yard line. And a timeout has been taken by Liberty with 42 seconds to play. So the Blue Jays looking to get the ball back here and in fairly decent field position. Have called a timeout. I believe it's their 2nd of the half. We were talking about last year, these two teams, the Suburban Red Championship went to Liberty, and now Lee Summit drops down from the Gold Division to the Red Division. And it was a little tough for both coaches to get prepared for the game. They have not faced each other for 4 years, and of course, this being the opening game of the season, about the only video that they had available was from last weekend's Jamboree. Lee Summit played Harrisonville, Liberty North, and Raypeck. And for Liberty, they had a jamboree here too, and that was the only videotape really available except for some tapes from last year's game against common opponents that they looked at but really did not get a lot out of. So a little bit of adjustment on both sides here in the first half and certainly at halftime for the two coaches. So Pino is the punter. He dropped one in at the 4-yard line last time from midfield. He will be punting to Jack Lowry.
Lowry back to receive.
And angled toward the sideline. And that one will die with about 32 seconds left at the 35-yard line. So Liberty does have decent field position, and we'll see what Alex Roush and the offense can do. They've really come alive in the second quarter, sparked by that late run in the first quarter. And Lowry is about everything that we heard he would be, a 4'4" athlete who's being recruited as a football player, but also as a track and field athlete. Has a long touchdown run tonight. He had a long run to get them out of trouble when they were backed up inside their own 5-yard line. That drive eventually ended with the run by Nathan Gray and a 13-10 lead. The first touchdown, the extra point was no good. Roush going long and overthrows down the sideline looking for, I believe that was Nathan Gray. Coverage again by Landon Willis, the 5'11 junior. Second down coming up. Next week, Liberty plays at Park Hill. This year's schedule, Liberty North and Lee Summit West on the road. That's going to be extremely tough. They do, however, have Staley here at home to end the year and Lee Summit North at home also. .26 seconds left on the game clock. They've got 13 seconds to snap the ball. And that's into the hands of Strike. And Strike down the sideline will be bumped out across midfield. And now a flag along the sideline. Well, Liberty has gone to the athletes that they thought they would need to get them through the season. Nathan Gray has a touchdown run. Jack Lowry has a touchdown run. Evan Strike caught a ball down deep in Lee Summit territory on the last drive, and now he comes up with another catch here at the 49, and we'll see about the penalty after the play. And that could be a huge one. See where they mark it, the penalty marked off from the 49-yard line. Will be an unsportsmanlike and put them inside the 40 and down to around the 33, 34-yard line is where they're going to mark it. So 1st and 10 for the Blue Jays, 19 and a half seconds left. Jays were down 10-0 in this game. Now lead at 13-10. Lowry in motion. Trying to go to Gray. Did he catch it? No! It comes loose at the last second. Well thrown ball by Roush. And down that left sideline, just not able to handle it. What a nice play, though, in putting it up there, and a good play defensively by Lee Summit to knock it away. So Roush going long and has 13.3 seconds remaining. Strike will line up in a bunch on the right side. That was Michael Book down in the end zone. Looking for Lowry. They go that side, and maybe a little bit of miscommunication. Lowry was out in the flat, and Roush threw it right between him and between Gray. Now 9 seconds, almost 10 seconds remaining. Third down and 10, but more importantly, the time remaining. Again, 3 to the wide side on the right. Good pickup in the backfield. The throw, though, into the sideline and incomplete. Lowry tried to pick up the blitzer, middle linebacker Austin Spencer, but only got a piece of him, and that certainly affected the throw by Roush. And now fourth down coming with 4.7 seconds, so effectively the last play of the first half. And the play clock at 20 seconds, so Liberty has some time to set things up. They're going to send the speedy Lowry into the slot on the right side for this likely final play of the half. Here comes that middle linebacker again, and nowhere for Roush to go, and that will end the half here with Liberty leading it by a score of 13-10. Down by 10, the Blue Jays come back on their home field, and they lead it at halftime by 3 over Lee's Summit here in the opening game of the season. And we'll be back with more in a moment on 810varsity.com. Back at Liberty High School, where at halftime it is Liberty leading Lee Summit 13-10. Lee Summit got up 10-0, but Liberty came back with 2 touchdowns, one with no time remaining in the first quarter, and then the second one with just a minute 32 left in the half. I'm Rick Cole, and we are happy to have a chance here to visit with the longtime activities director at Liberty High School. Steve Butler joins us. Welcome, Coach Butler.
Thank you, Rick.
It's good to see you again. You look well, but anybody making the trek up these stairs has got to be in great physical shape, and you look like you are.
We are. It's almost like running a marathon on the way up here.
Hey, this is a beautiful facility.
It is. It really is. I'm so proud of what our community has done over the past couple of years, and we are an inclusive community school where everyone is always welcome, and this stadium allows everyone in our community to connect with the school district. And we've always believed here in Liberty for many, many years that if we can get the patrons on our campus, that they will see the value and feel the value in building a stadium such as this. I know we want to continue to build auditoriums and in concert halls in Liberty. By coming to the stadium, the patrons actually get to feel what's going on here at Liberty High School, and they very rarely get a chance to go in and see what goes on in an English classroom or a math classroom, but they can come here and see the value and where their money's being spent, and also hopefully come away here with a good experience.
Steve Butler is with us here at halftime. And Steve, when did you start working with the district?
In 1977, I started here in Liberty, and I was an elementary education teacher here, and spent all 31 years here in Liberty, and had the opportunity to see it grow. In fact, just right at the north end of the stadium, there used to be a pond out there and Black Angus cows, and now we've got a theater and a stadium and probably 40 or 50,000 people live in the community now.
Did you ever dream that it would turn out to be this way?
You know, I thought Liberty was in a really good location. It was kind of like a big egg getting ready to hatch. People were starting to come from the city, starting to move this way. Growth really started first down in south of Kansas City, but then we started growing out here, and we're going to continue to grow. And we've always had good education programs out here, and once you put the education programs with the athletic programs, this is really an outstanding place to go to school.
Steve Butler is with us, and a big part of the growth of Liberty, but a big part of athletics. And you mentioned it early on as you were talking about the value that athletics have for kids, for the community, for everything. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. We want the kids to have a good experience. We want our community to have a good experience with our school district. And by understanding what concert band can do, what debate can do for the community, what athletics can do for the community, fine arts, they really have an opportunity there to experience those things that we want them to experience in a community school.
Right.
And it is a community school. That is the most important thing you can ever have done as an educator, is to make it a community school.
Sure. When Lee's Summit North, when Liberty North, you got Lee's Summit on the brain, but when Liberty North opened, was there any division there? Is that a worry? Because sometimes that can happen.
Well, they asked me, who am I going to support? And I worked here for 31 years, and I'm a Liberty supporter. So I support both schools, and that's the way it should be. And don't want to drive a wedge between one school and the other school. Now, where my heart is right here. Right. I spent 21 or 28 years here as administrator, and this is very, very close to me. But Liberty North, outstanding school.
Sure.
The school district has just done an outstanding job of blending athletics and academics, and that's what we all want to do here, is to make sure that we understand that kids aren't just one-dimensional.
You know, I like that, and I think what you're saying is right. Our guest here is Steve Butler, and you were, I'm not sure what they called it here, but some schools call it an activities director, some call it athletic director. I like activities director because there is no major sport. A lot of attention is paid in the fall to football, but all of the activities are something that are valuable.
They are, and that's what we want our kids to experience. The debate team, the concert choirs, the band, they're just as important to me as all the athletic teams were, even though I spent most of my time in that area. I grew up in Albany, Missouri. I was telling a gentleman down here, at halftime I would go out and play my trumpet with my football uniform on.
Isn't that great?
Then go back the second half and play halfback. But so I was experienced in all the different aspects of school, and my mom and dad made sure that we experienced that, and it made us better people.
Steve Butler again is our guest here at halftime as Liberty leads at 13-10 over Lee's Summit on A10varsity.com. Can you pick out one great memory of your time here at Liberty?
Well, you know, they asked me that a number of years ago when we moved from the gymnasium, the old gym, to the new gym. And what this is about up here is we're building facilities where kids get to congratulate each other, to encourage each other to work harder. There's pride here. It's a place where people understand winning and losing. And so I really don't just have one. That's kind of what's important to me, is that they get to experience that. And what we tried to do was try to make Liberty Athletics and Liberty High School one of the most respected programs, celebrated programs, in the state, both academically and athletically. And that was what the goal was, and we're getting close to doing that now.
Well, I certainly think you are. I
Thank
know
you.
that during your years here as the AD that you brought in a young man named Chad Freegan, who's the head coach now in football. Can you tell me about him? 24 years, I think he said he's been in the district.
I can remember the day I actually stepped down as head football coach, and Chad came in 1994, and he's had the opportunity to experience athletics 8th grade through 12th grade. And I was always a big believer in making sure that the programs were aligned 8th grade through 12th grade. And by doing that, we really understand how kids develop, and we have a certain expectation for them. And when Chad started here, he started down in our 8th and 9th grade programs, so he knows how important those programs are in developing the athletes so that they have an opportunity to play on a very competitive team here at the high school.
Well, I know this is your interview, and I want to talk about you, but I got to tell you one quick story about Chad.
Okay.
I have a former athlete that I've worked with is on your coaching staff here, the varsity coaching staff, and he told me it's his first year. He told me that he kind of messed up some of the film study this week getting prepared for Lee's Summit, and I said, well, how did Coach handle that? And he said, it's okay. You're going to be okay. It's easy to do, and it'll get better as we go through the year. And I think that's the kind of teaching situation you're talking about.
It is. We want coaches here that attract kids. We want the kids to say when they leave our program, I like my coach, I'm glad I did it, and I'm tell other kids to get involved. And that's really all I can ask of them. And I believe that is going on. Chad has done a really, really good job here. He understands how the program is, like I said, put together, and he understands what the kids need to do to be successful in a league that we're playing in. And when I was coaching way back there, we could play an above-average game and maybe still win. Now you have to play a very, very good game week in and week out to be successful in this league. And that's how hard it is. A lot of people forget that both teams want to win out there. And that's the thing that is always one of the most important things that you need to get across to a young man or a young lady, that they're trying just as hard on Lee Summit as we're trying on Liberty. And so competition is very, very important in life, and that's what we're teaching here at Liberty.
Steve, I know you're way too active to be sitting at home watching TV all the time. What are you up to these days?
Well, kind of 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. No Mondays, no Tuesdays. I've been retired now going on 10 years. I've really enjoyed my retirement. I didn't used to get away too much during the year, so sometimes when guys would call and say, you want to go play golf, Coach Beller? And I'd say, I'll go play golf. You want to go to St. Louis to the baseball game? I'll go. I just had a new little granddaughter, and she was going to be a year old tomorrow. My daughter moved back here. She's a breast surgeon for St. Luke's downtown, and she's at St. Luke's North, and she comes a day a week to Liberty. And so she lives in Parkville, so everything's just working out great for me.
Well, it certainly sounds like it. And you have left your mark on Liberty High School athletics and the Liberty District as a whole, and it's always good to visit with you.
Well, thank you so much, and this is a special place in my heart, Liberty High School and the Liberty community. I got to come to a community where they valued education, and kids did their best. They loved each other, and they competed at the highest levels in the state.
Steve, a pleasure. Thank you. Steve Butler, our guest here on 810varsity.com.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
At halftime, it's Liberty 13 and Lee Summit 10. And I think we'll be back in just a moment. We'll take a break here as the second half getting ready to We thank Steve Butler for coming on, visiting with us at halftime here at Liberty, where the Blue Jays lead at 13-10 over Lee's Summit. Our scoring summary in the first half, it started after a couple of Blue Jay drives went nowhere. Lee's Summit on their second drive ended up with a 7-yard Landon Willis touchdown run. The extra point was good, and the Tigers led 7-0 with 8:25 left in the first quarter. Toward the end of the quarter, a minute 14 remaining, the Tigers' Jacob Moracek hit a 42-yard field goal from the middle of the field, and it was 10-0 with just seconds left in the first quarter. But Jack Lowry changed all that. He went 78 yards down the right sideline for Liberty, going into the end zone with no time remaining in the first quarter. The extra point was no good, and the Blue Jays were back in it, but at a 10-6 score. They did score the lead touchdown late in the first half as Nathan Gray dove in from 4 yards out to score to put Liberty ahead. The extra point was good, and at halftime, Liberty leads at 13-10. That drive, by the way, that Gray scored on was a 96-yard drive after a punt pinned them deep in their own territory. I'm Rick Cole, along with Jim McClintock, who is our videographer tonight from Liberty Hospital Activity Complex, the home of the Blue Jays tonight. Lee's Summit will be receiving the second half kickoff, and the Blue Jays will be on defense. Lee's Summit had very good luck against the Blue Jay defense early in the game, but not so much in the second quarter. Lowry, by the way, 10 carries, 151 yards, and a touchdown in the first half. Lowry has been big. Evan Strike has a couple of catches for Liberty as well, and Nathan Gray has that touchdown run. Meanwhile, on the Lee's Summit side, Darius Pearsall and Kaya Tupinio have been alternating at quarterback. We have seen a lot of rushes from Landon Willis, including his touchdown run to put Lee's Summit up early. We've also seen Micah Manning in the offensive backfield as well. And Amari Kemp has been a big target for both Pearsall and for Tupinio in this ball game. Defensively, the middle linebacker for Lee's Summit, we talked about Austin Spencer, not very tall, 5'8", but he has been very active, rushing the quarterback Roush late for the Tigers. He's got to him a couple of times, affecting his passes. Austin Spencer, a part-time starter last year and a full-time starter this year, has led the defense for Lee's Summit, along with Landon Willis, who has made many good defensive plays as well as those offensive plays we've been talking about. Willis, the former safety, now playing corner, has been a shutdown corner not only in the passing game, but he's also helped in the rushing game as well. Our second half kickoff about ready to begin, and we'll take a quick break on 810varsity.com. Ross will be kicking off for the Blue Jays as the Jays kick off to Lee's Summit to start the second half, and a 13-10 lead for Liberty to start this second half of action in the opening weekend of the season for Missouri high school football. He drives it toward Micah Manning, who is on the goal line, and that ball will be ruled dead. And so the Tigers will start at their 20-yard line. We got started a little bit late tonight. We haven't had a lot of chance to talk about the offensive or defensive lines, so important for both of these teams. Clayton Couch is one of the starters. He plays 3 different spots on the offensive line for Lee's Summit. Preston Six and Tyler Terrence, a two-way starter, are both at guards. Drew Epperson and Darius Robinson are the tackles for Lee's Summit, but they will switch sides. They will alternate different positions, and they come out here at the 20-yard line where it's 1st and 10 for the Tigers. Tigers led early 10-0. Liberty leads 13-10, and now we start the second half. It is Tupinio handing off straight ahead, and again, Liberty's defense has been good since that first quarter. They drive Manning back, and it's the middle of the line, and linebackers Jackson White and Jalen Westron that get in there. Matt Lawson was also in there. Matt is a defensive end, a junior, 6'1", 220 pounds. They're going to give him, Manning that is, about 3/4 of a yard, but that's all. Ryan Belt is in the slots on the left side. They'll go trips to that side and one man to the right side. Pearsall's the quarterback. And that again is Manning up to the 22-yard line, a gain of about a yard. So Liberty's defense not allowed 20.5 points per game last year. They had 10 interceptions last year, but they gave up an average of 141 yards on the ground and 10 total touchdowns through the course of the year. They've been good, though, here in the second quarter and the first couple of plays of the second half. Isaiah Hall is the nose tackle. He is a 315-pound nose tackle, all conference last year. Flushing. And Pearsall diving toward the first down, and it looks like he might have made it. He was chased by Hall, who showed off his speed along with that great size, and it will be a first down and a fine rush by Pearsall running away from the nose tackle Isaiah Hall. So 1st and 10 for Lee Summit with 10:30 left in the third quarter. Lee Summit scored in the first quarter on Willis's 7-yard touchdown run and Marachek's 42-yard field goal. Looking blitz on the outside, the handoff up the middle. Another first down and more. That was Topinio, the backup quarterback, and we told you Lee Summit and Liberty too, but especially Lee Summit will play some of these kids at different positions. We've seen Topinio at quarterback. He lined up one time as a wide receiver, and now in the midline option, he takes the ball for a first down to the 44-yard line. Pearsall is the quarterback of the moment. The H-back is Belt on the left side. And this is the running back, Landon Willis, and he's not going anywhere. They wrap him up and throw him back to the 40-yard line. So Landon Willis, who had early rushing success, couldn't get away from Nathan Gray and others. Second down and 14 yards to go for Lee Summit. 9.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Pearsall, the sometimes quarterback, is the lone man wide to the right. And the double H-back set in the pistol. Pinio going down the sideline. He's got a man. And away at the 30-yard line, it'll go for 6. Ryan Belt, a 60-yard touchdown run, or catch rather, down the sideline. Belt matched up one-on-one, caught it at the 30 and took it the rest of the way. It's a 60-yard completion from Topinio to Belt. And so in a game of big plays, there's another big play, and Lee Summit goes back on top with 9:05 remaining in the third. They are lined up in the swinging gate. We've seen this before. Topinio looking to throw, and it's knocked down. He caught it, and he dives in, and that will count. Topinio's pass knocked right back to him, and he is able to run it in for 2 points. How about that? So the Tigers go on top, 18-13, and we will take a break and be back in a moment on 810varsity.com. High out to Pino to Ryan Belt, 60 yards, the touchdown for Lee Summit, and then the odd 2-point conversion when the pass on the 2-point attempt was knocked right back and running it into Pino for 2, so 18-13. Lee Summit leads it over Liberty. I am Rick Cole tonight on 810varsity.com. Jim McClintock is our videographer, and Lee Summit kicks it away with 9:05 left in the third quarter. This will be taken around the right side and down the sideline by Michael Book, I believe it is, on that far side, and he's up to around the 39-yard line or so. So good starting position for Liberty on their first possession of the second half. Alex Roush will bring them up at the 39-yard line. The 78-yard run tonight by Liberty's Jack Lowry, now a 60-yard pass to Belt. So big plays in this game. And Roush will have Lowry in the backfield with him. And Lowry tripped up at the line of scrimmage. So second down and 10 coming for Liberty. Liberty last year 8-3, the Suburban Red champion, but Lee Summit drops down this year from the Gold Division, Big School Division, to play in the second tier in the Suburban Conference. A lot of times you'll see teams do that and have great success. This matchup, though, between Liberty and Lee Summit has been back and forth. 8:26 to play third quarter. Roush underneath. Michael Book on the outside, and he's up to about the 47-yard line. That'll be a gain of around 8. Take it back, it was Nathan Gray that made the catch. So Gray, who had a touchdown run, makes the catch out in the flats, and it leaves Liberty with a third down and 2. 8 minutes to play in the third quarter. Liberty down 10-0, took a 13-10 lead at halftime, but now it's Lee Summit right back out on top, 18-15. Single split backs. And ahead for a first down. So a first down for Liberty. The 47-yard line of Lee Summit. Chad Freegun is the head coach of the Blue Jays. He's been the head coach for 8 years now. Roush dumping it. Some room. And to the 36-yard line. Nathan Gray starting to really become a factor in this offense as we roll through this opener. And another first down for Liberty. Roush has done a nice job also in moving the pocket and finding receivers on the run. And we've talked about Lowry, all his ability offensively. He's also shown that he can be a good blocker in the backfield in pass protection. Now a little different look. And there's Roush on the roll again. He wants to go to the wheel route, and there he is. Lowry on the far side to the 20. Lowry still alive, and Lowry inside the 5. A flag is down, though, at the 30-yard line. We have not had many live ball penalties tonight, but this one may bring this play back. Well, I'll tell you what, though, Roush has again shown his ability to roll, and that time throwing back across the field to the running back Lowry, who came out on the wheel route. Again, our referee tonight, Gene Millentree. And this is an interesting and important call. Liberty looks to have the ball at the 4-yard line on the play. And the discussion goes on whether it's an illegal receiver downfield. Now they're going to wave it off. After talking about it, I would imagine if it was an illegal receiver downfield, they took a look at the play and discussed it. And the play will stand. So at the 4-yard line, Liberty has a first and goal. And in this back and forth game, the Blue Jays threaten to jump back out on top. Gray is in the backfield with Roush. Now Joe Charest comes in to play a tight end on the left side. You saw him getting in there late. And Gray diving for the end zone. He is in, and he has his second 4-yard touchdown run of the night. The Blue Jays, 19, and the Tigers, 18, pending the extra point. Gray scores his second touchdown of the night, both from 4 yards out. Boy, he has a nose for the goal line, doesn't he? And again, Liberty will line up and go for the 2-point conversion. Lowry is the man in the backfield. That's Gray in motion. Roush rolling on the comeback route. It is knocked down, no good. So the score, Liberty 19, Lee Summit 18. And we will take a break on 810varsity.com. Well, back and forth we go, and with 6:38 left in the third quarter, it is Liberty back on top on the second touchdown run of the night by Nathan Gray. Gray's pair of 4-yard touchdown runs. The extra point in this case was no good. A pass knocked down as Roush rolled to his right, but the Jays back out on top. Manning is one of 2 men deep for Lee Summit, awaiting the kickoff of Grant Ross. And this is Manning, a rare chance to run one back in this game from the 4-yard line. A flag behind Manning. And down to the 43, but probably coming back, you would guess. So a nice run, but probably for nuts as Lee Summit returns it across the 40-yard line. We have not, as we mentioned a few moments ago, had a lot of penalties during live play. We've had a couple of dead ball penalties. And as they discuss this, the tackle was made by Zach Scholey, who's a junior. And they will again discuss this penalty. Well, during the regular season, check 810varsity.com to watch live games, of course, like you are tonight. Keep up with all the player stats and monitor the Player of the Year watch. Also, the top 25 poll, as the penalty is indeed against Lee Summit, but also a personal foul called against Liberty, it looks like. And so they will sort this out. But anyway, back to what we were saying, 810varsity.com is your home for everything high school football in the Metro. Of course, Kansas starts a little later than Missouri. This is the first weekend of Missouri high school football here on this warm night in Liberty. Well, in Class 6, both of these members are in Class 6 for the last 6 of 7 years. Either Blue Springs or Blue Springs South has been the Western representative for Missouri in the final game. Suburban Red expected to be a very good conference. Of course, Lee Summit moves down to the Suburban Red. Defending Class 5 state champion Staley is moving into the division. And a chop block on Lee Summit and a personal foul on Liberty is the final announcement from Gene Millentry. The ball will be spotted after all of that at the 25-yard line. 6:27 to play. Games going on 810 Varsity tonight. Maryville and Blair Oaks, St. Joe Central and Smithville. Raymore Peculiar is playing Park Hill South, and Lee Summit West at Park Hill, all on 810varsity.com tonight. as Lee Summit has been doing all night. They'll alternate their quarterback again, and this time the junior Kaya Tapinio is the quarterback. 2 to the left, 1 to the right. That pass comes and it is caught by, I think that's Nate Morris, across the 40-yard line to the 42. Check that, it is Adrian Block, the sophomore tight end, that was lined up wide, 6'4", 220 pounds. He's going to be a good one. He already is. 1st and 10 for Lee Summit. One of the coaches in his first year for Lee Summit, coaching the receivers and tight ends, is Ian Birch, who played at Liberty High School and now returns to coach and teach. Tapinio got a lot of room. And to the 39-yard line before he is pulled down. Boy, isn't he a talent. He's finally pulled down by Joe Charay, but not until he got to the 39-yard line. And now it looks like we have a player with an injury, and it appears to be Liberty's Nathan Gray. One of the things, we didn't get a chance to go to our pregame interviews today, but both coaches were concerned about the heat today after a summer that's been so strange in Missouri, with very hot days and very cool days like yesterday was. Today's game time temperature 89 degrees, and so you would expect that there will be some cramping. The referees have allowed for an extra water break already, and hopefully this injury is nothing too serious. We will take a moment and step aside and be back in just a moment on 810varsity.com. .6:11 left in the third quarter as Lee Summit and Liberty open the season for us here. Liberty 19 and the Tigers 18, but Lee Summit moving. Lots of big plays tonight. Defense has been good most of the time, with the exception of giving up a big play here and there that's made the difference in this back and forth game. From the pistol, the Tigers work into Liberty territory. Tapinio's going to keep it. Had success his last carry. This time goes for a couple. Kaya Tapinio, he's 5'11", 200 pounds. And he has shown that he can throw himself into a lot of different roles. This time he picks up 2 to the 36-yard line, and the Tigers looking at 2nd down and 8. Clock runs at 5:46 in the third quarter. Tapinio sends 2 to the left side, 1 to the right. The H-back in there is Ryan Belt, looks like. Straight ahead, and not much running room against the middle of the Liberty defense. It was Micah Manning sticking it up inside, but Isaiah Hall and Drake Smith there, among others. Boy, Isaiah Hall is a big guy, and he is playing that nose tackle. Justin Jr., 315 pounds at 5'10", in an all-conference season last year as a sophomore. Seven in the box, and taking a look, Tapinio not able to make up his mind. Illegal procedure will move the ball back in. It'll be 3rd down and about a dozen. In this part of the field, you would think it is certainly 4-down situation for Lee Summit. Although they do have a 42-yard field goal tonight from Jacob Moracek. That was in the first quarter when they took a 10-0 lead. After that, Liberty came back, led 13-10 at the half, and now Liberty leads by a point. And this is Pearsall throwing, juggled, and dropped. And a fine effort at the 20-yard line, but just not able to come down with it was number 11, Ryan Belt, the junior who plays all over the field. So now 4th down and about 13. Make it more like 12. They've got to get to the 28-yard line from the 40. We're going to bring Tupinio in, and from this spot on the field earlier in the game, we saw him drop a punt at the 4-yard line, just on the sideline. So Tupinio is going to be called on to punt here. One man back for Liberty. Oh, and a bad kick by Tupinio heads out of bounds. Early in the ball game, it was Liberty with a bag punt, and now Tupinio trying to be fine down the sideline, shanks it off the side of his foot, and that will give Liberty some pretty good field position as it will be marked out at the 42-yard line. So that is going to go for a -2. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before, and no offense to Tupinio, but I don't think I've seen that. So Liberty, a big break. For Lee Summit, they were able to score a touchdown after a bad punt, gave them possession deep inside Liberty territory. Now Roush has a double tight end look, and a bad snap is handled by the young quarterback, and he throws into traffic, and it's knocked away. Trying to go to that right side, Tyler Perry, a senior strong safety, stepped in and knocked it away. It's 2nd down, and Lowry fortunate that wasn't picked off, and he's also fortunate he made the catch on the snap. 2nd down, 10 yards to go. We haven't had a turnover in the game. 4:17 left in the 3rd quarter. Strauss, and short of the 1st down at the 48-yard line. 3rd down and about 3 coming up. They work it over to the junior wide receiver Michael Book, and marked out at the 49-yard line. That does leave them 3 yards short. Now they're backing it up to the 48. So 3rd and 4. Roush has done well tonight, rolling out, throwing as he did there. Book has been a favorite target. Gray has been a target, especially on the rollouts. They'll go with that 1-by-1 set with an H-back. And it is to the H-back and dropping it. And now 4th down coming up. That was intended for Smith on a little flat route, but now 4th down and 4. I'm not sure that we have seen Michael Book as a punter tonight, but he'll be out there, expected to be out there as the punter. Landon Willis will be the return man for Lee Summit at the 20-yard line. 3:31 and holding with the incomplete pass. That we have seen Book before tonight in punt formation. And that's a good kick. Willis is going to let it go. And for Book, it bounces into the end zone and a touchback. So a nice kick, but a little bit too far, as getting his foot into it is junior Michael Book. Possession changes, and we'll take a timeout on 810varsity.com. A10varsity.com is your home for high school sports, and tonight football opens up in Missouri. This matchup between Liberty and Lee Summit is a tight one, with the home Jays leading it by a 19-18 score. Lee Summit takes over from their own 20-yard line and a dive forward for a yard. In this day of offenses using the spread offense. We've seen a lot of passing tonight. We've seen some good run defense with a couple of exceptions. A long run by Jack Lowry, 78 yards for Liberty. Rollout pass, firing the ball, and just incomplete. He was looking for number 14, Darius Pearsall's pass is off the mark. And that time, a new receiver into the game, Jacob Moracek, who we've seen at kicker. But this game that's gone back and forth has really come down to the offenses, each responding to the other team's scores. They've been able to battle back and forth. No turnovers in the game. And now Liberty's defense looking to pin Lee Summit deep as the Tigers face 3rd down and 9. 5 men in the pattern for Lee Summit. And Pearsall with the shoulder fake going long, wide open at the 50-yard line. No one within 10 yards of the receiver, all the way down to the 35-yard line. Willis catches the ball, and he's all the way down to the 35, and there was no one around him. Landon scored a rushing touchdown in this game, and now a big play down the sideline, and it was set up a little bit by Pearsall's shoulder fake to the sideline, and then he aired it out to a wide-open Willis. So 1st and 10 for Lee Summit, 2:32 to play in the 3rd. And let's see what we're doing here. I believe the referees have called for an additional water break here. There is a timeout of some sort. I didn't see it signaled. Yeah, maybe they're just going to take a moment to get a drink, or the referees have given them the, pardon the expression, the liberty to do it. And now the Blue Jays back out onto the field, and Lee Summit waits for the clock to start, and it will as referee Gene Millentree starts the clock, and 2:25 remain in the 3rd quarter. So another big play. Long pass from Pearsall to Willis. Trapinio this time handing to Manning, who drives forward. He may have gotten to the 30-yard line. Looked to be just a little bit short. It'll be a gain of about 3, maybe 4.5. But a good inside run. Jalen Weston, a sophomore inside linebacker, in on the tackle for Liberty. Moracek is wide to the right side, a slot on that side, and a single man left for the Tigers. 2nd down, about 5.5. And the hand again is inside, and again it's Micah Manning who punches it across the 25-yard line, and he has a 1st down for the Tigers. So Manning just straight up the middle. He's 5'10", a junior, weighs 164 pounds, and he's been one of the featured running backs for Lee Summit tonight. Again, keep in mind that this game started with temperatures around 89 degrees. It's still plenty warm out there, and those offensive and defensive lines, especially the defensive line, can get tired here late in the 3rd quarter. Pearsall hands, and it looks to be Manning again to the 20-yard line. So Manning getting a lot of work. Check that. It was Willis that time in the backfield who carried to the 20-yard line. 2nd down, 6 yards to go for Lee Summit. They're down by a point here with 55 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. At one point, they led 10-0. That was early in the game. Actually, it was late in the 1st quarter when they got their 10-0 lead on a 42-yard field goal by Moracek, who's lined up now to the right side. Pearsall looking again, the shoulder fake, and again down the sideline, he's got a man open, and knocked out of his hands, incomplete, with a big hit in the end zone by, I believe that's Carson Gramsus. They had a man on the sideline, and Gramsus came over and hit him in the end zone and knocked the ball loose. Carson is a senior cornerback at 6'1", 175, and he laid a lick on the receiver in the end zone. And I think they were trying to go to Ryan Belt down there on the left side. Those yellow numbers or gold numbers against the white is tough to pick up. Pearsall will be the quarterback here. And a little screen. Looking for first down yardage. He has it across the 10-yard line as Lee Summit again responds. And they come up with a big screen pass for the first down. They get it out to Ryan Belt, and Belt makes something happen on the screen pass. Gramsus was there again for the tackle, but now first and goal for Lee Summit. And again, Lee Summit responding after Liberty takes the lead at 19-18. Now they've mounted a drive. 3 seconds left in the quarter. We'll see if they get the playoff, and apparently they're not going to do it. And we will go to the fourth quarter. It has been back and forth in this Suburban Red matchup between Liberty High School and Lee Summit. And we'll be back with the fourth quarter in just a moment on 810varsity.com. We begin the fourth quarter from Liberty Hospital Activity Complex, Liberty High School, Liberty, Missouri. I'm Rick Cole with Jim McClintock, who has done double duty tonight as our camera operator and technician on the fly. Got started a little bit late tonight, but boy, oh boy, this is turning into a good ball game as entering the fourth quarter, Lee Summit down by a point has first and goal from the 8. Topinio is the quarterback. Willis in the backfield. He scored on a similar play in the first quarter. He gets down to the 3, but there is a flag coming from the defensive backfield. And so we'll see if this play stands up. Give you the scoring summary real quick. Willis scored that 7-yard run in the first quarter with 8:25 left for Lee Summit to make it 7-0. And then Moracek hit a 42-yard field goal for the Tigers. An illegal substitution is the call on Liberty, it looked like. So, back to our scoring. Lee Summit led 10-0 with 1:14 left in the first quarter. But that's when Jack Lowry went 78 yards for a touchdown with no time remaining in the quarter. The extra point no good. And at the first quarter break, Lee Summit 10 and Liberty 6. Liberty scored in the second quarter. Nathan Gray, the first of 2 touchdowns tonight. 4-yard run. Extra point good, 13-10 Liberty. And then Tiapino to Belt 60 yards down the sideline. Lee Summit got a 2-point conversion to take an 18-13 lead. And with 6:38 left in the third, Gray again from 4 yards for Liberty. The extra point was no good, and Liberty leads 19-18. From the 4, this will be first down. So the penalty picks up half the distance. And Tiapino's just going to have to fall on it. So, in the give and take of this game, that erases really the illegal substitution penalty for Liberty and costs Lee Summit a down. Ball spotted at the 8.5-yard line. Keep in mind that Moracek for Lee Summit has already hit a field goal of 42 yards, and this would certainly be within his distance. Last year, Moracek was 2 of 6, and his longest was 25, so a 42-yarder tonight is easily his career best. And through the traffic, it's Willis to the goal line. Did he get in? Apparently not quite. Willis dives over the left guard, Preston 6, and the tackle, Drew Epperson. And a penalty looks to be against Lee Summit. They marked the ball just outside the goal line, so he didn't make it into the end zone. And the initial indication was a penalty against the Tigers, and that's got to be driving Eric Thomas, the head coach, mad over there on the far sideline. Want to thank Coach Thomas and his staff for helping preparing for this game. The Lee Summit principal is John Falkenberry. Their activities director is Tracy Bertonson, who we've worked with in the past as a softball coach, I believe. From the 13, it's second down and goal. And the option thrown up there by Ryan Belt and caught in the end zone. Ryan Belt throws the pass and caught in the end zone by whom? Let's see. Again, the numbers on the white make it very hard to tell. It looks like it is the former quarterback Tupinio who caught the ball in the end zone. How about that? Ryan Belt to Tupinio. 13 yards for the touchdown. And it comes with 10:59 remaining in the fourth, giving Lee Summit the lead again. I tell you, we've seen Tupinio do a little bit of everything. The same for Lowry on the other side. And now they will move into the traditional point after attempt. And Maracek kicks it into the line. So the extra point, no good. The Tigers 24 and Liberty 19 with 10:59 remaining in the fourth quarter. We take a break on 810varsity.com. Well, what a game this was turning out to be. Lee Summit scores on a end-around option, call it that. Ryan Belt to Kaya Tupinio, 13 yards on the pass. The extra point no good, and it's a 5-point Lee Summit lead as they go back on top, and Liberty awaits the kickoff here in the fourth quarter. Wow. Maracek into the ball. This will be short and returnable. And some room. Now a flag goes down. It'll come back as Lowry to the 43-yard line, but it will come back, it appears. Well, one place where you do not want to kick the ball if you can is to Lowry. He has shown his open field running ability. But the penalty looks like it'll bring it back, and so Liberty will have bad starting position here with 10:49 left in the fourth quarter. The 13-yard pass, Belt to Tupinio gives Lee Summit the lead, and as we talked about earlier, one of the highlights of this game is each team has been able to respond when the other team scores. We haven't had a lot of stops. We've had some good long drives. And again, in the era of the spread offense, you know you're going to see the ball in the air quite a bit. Roush has done a nice job rolling out both left and right. The senior quarterback starts at his own 6-yard line. Looking for the blitz on the outside, and Lowry is dumped at the 1. That is the defensive end that we talked about, the talented junior Felix Anyudike. He's 6'3", 206 pounds. He's had 2 tackles for loss in this game, and he had 20 last year as a sophomore. So Anyudike comes up with a big stop back at the 2-yard line. Liberty's offense facing what Lee Summit hopes is the strength of their team this year, their defensive unit. They were a little more veteran last year offensively, and this time Lowry across the goal line, but not much. He may have been dropped for a loss of a half a yard or so. They started at the 2. Boy, just not much room right now against Lee Summit's defense. And Lowry may be down. Check and see as they'll bring the trainers out here. In fact, there's both a Tiger and a Blue Jay down on opposite sides of the goal line, as you can see. And hoping again with the heat that those are only cramps, but we'll let the trainers take care of that. We have a moment for a break here with 9:53 left in the game, and we'll be back in just a moment. Trainer is attending to the two injured players for Lee Summit, who was the outstanding defensive end, Felix Nyudike, who was injured but got up and ran off under his own power. And the running back, Jack Lowry, was also shaken up. And so Liberty will not have him here for a third down and, about 15 or so. More important, though, is that this snap comes from between the 1 and the 2 yard line for Liberty, down in this game 24-19. Well, we'll see what Roush can come up with here from his own end zone. This was a big play in the game, and he looks deep. He has one-on-one coverage, and he spins his man around and cannot connect with Book. Had a chance with Book, and the zone coverage provided by a safety back there. It looked like Tyler Perry was back for Lee Summit, but now fourth down from the 1.5 yard line and down in the game by 5 points. Book, who just ran that sideline streak pattern, is going to have to go back and punt from his back line. Lee Summit's dangerous junior returner, Landon Willis, stands at the Blue Jay 43. A good snap certainly helps, and that's a pretty good kick, but Willis is going to have a chance to return it from the 42. Here's Willis. And he's free. And he's got a chance still, and he dives for the pylon. Is he in? Yes, he is. 42 yards for Willis, who scores his second touchdown of the game. Don't see any flags. There is a man from Lee Summit injured. Willis from 42 yards out. So special teams, they're always a big part of the game. And with 9:31 left in the fourth quarter, it's a huge play for Lee Summit after their defense held Liberty deep in their own end. One of the parts of that play was Michael Book's kick, which was outstanding. You might remember, I believe it was on the last drive, he punted a ball a long way and it bounced into the end zone. This time if there was ever out kicking your coverage, I think he just did it right there, as it gave Willis a lot of room. And Willis made the most of it down the right side, returning it 42 yards for a touchdown. Now, Landon Willis, last year, 5 interceptions, led the Gold Conference as he played safety and cornerback. He had 3 interceptions in one game against Ray-Pec. This year, playing more offense, we saw him at running back, take it in from 7 yards out, and now on special teams, 42 yards out of return. Not much more you could ask for a player. Landon Willis has scored offensively and on special teams and been a big part of the Lee Summit defense at cornerback. 30-19. extra point try coming for Lee Summit. And it looks like they will have their kicker, Jacob Moracek in there. You've seen the swinging gate lineup, and in fact, Lee Summit ran it one time with Kaya Topino trying to pass on the extra point try for 2. It was knocked right back to him, and he carried it into the end zone on his own. So he'll get credit in the stats for both the completion and the reception for a 2-point play. And now Moracek to try to make it 31-19. And he does that. Moracek's extra point good. And Lee Summit extends their lead to 30-19. And we're back with more in a moment on 810varsity.com. Well, Lee Summit's entrance into the Suburban Red Conference has gone well to this point. They're up 31-19, and they're kicking off to Liberty now with their backs to the wall here at home. The defending Suburban Red Conference champions are down by 11. Moracek will kick it off. And driving Book back into the end zone, and that will come out to the 20-yard line. So Liberty now down by 11, and the senior quarterback will go to work as Roush has thrown the ball well tonight. He played in 6 games as a backup last year to Thomas Hendricks, and what a year Hendricks had. 2,200 plus yards and 27 touchdown passes last year. But Roush was listed on A10 Varsity's Elite 81 quarterbacks, and he certainly has the talent to bring Liberty back in this game, and he's got the receivers to do it as well. Jack Lowry will be the running back. Gray is the H-back, and now the handoff, and 2 yards there for Liberty. Liberty backed up to their own end. The defense for Lee Summit on the last drive was very good, and the punt return, 42 yards for a touchdown. Lowry picks up another 3 yards on that carry. So we've had a 60-yard touchdown pass, a 78-yard run for a score, and now a 42-yard punt return for a touchdown. 2nd down, 7. Here comes the blitz. Good pickup. Lowry's throw tipped and incomplete. Somewhere just beyond the defensive line, someone got a hand on it, and now 3rd down and 7. 8:54 remaining in the 4th quarter. Lee Summit started out with a 10-0 lead in this game. Liberty led 13-10 at the half. At the end of 3, Liberty 19 and Lee Summit 18, but now with 8:54 to play, 31-19 Lee Summit. Next week, Lee Summit has Belton at home. They'll start their home season. Roush with a man in motion. There's the rollout. He's done this well, and he's got a man wide open to the 39-yard line and stepping out somewhere around the 38-yard line. Looks like Nathan Gray again, the All-State player from last year. Gray had a big night last year against Raytown with 3 touchdown catches, had 8 touchdown receptions in the season, 45 receptions overall. And he's a multi-tooled player. And a big first down for Liberty as they try to come back here in the 4th quarter. 3-man front for the Tigers. Roush with that rolling pocket. And a little bit high that time. Felix Anyudike is back into the game after being shaken up on the last drive. He's playing the right defensive end spot. Second down and 10 coming for Liberty. Top 25 preseason for these two teams. Are both in the A-10 varsity top 25. The Tigers at number 17 and Liberty at number 24. And it's been that kind of game, a top 25 type of a game. Roush on second down. They'll blow this one dead at the line of scrimmage. And let's see what the call is here. Before the play started, it was offsides by Lee Summit. And we saw Anyudike almost jump off sides on the first down play. So that'll make it second down and 5 with 8:40 remaining, and Blue Jays down by 11 points. One of the interesting things I came across in researching this game was Max Prep's Ned Freeman at calpreps.com put together a top 10 list of all-time dynasty programs in each state, and in Missouri you can probably guess who the number one dynasty team has been over the last 10 years. Roush on second and 5. And he's got that good footwork, but he throws it right into the hands of the linebacker. And it's actually the safety Tyler Perry that picks it off and runs it in, and that might be the final nail in the coffin for Liberty. That one goes about 40 yards, picked off by senior Tyler Perry of Lee Summit. And now 37-19 on the 40-yard give-or-take interception by Tyler Perry. It comes with 8:24 left in the game. And again, another great big play. Maracek to try the extra point for the Tigers, who are on fire here in the fourth quarter. And he drives it through. And the score, 38-19. The Tigers have the lead. Again, 8:24 left in the fourth quarter. Back with more in a moment on 810varsity.com. And now this game is turned around. Now a 19-point lead for Lee Summit. And just 10 minutes ago, clock time, give or take again, it was 19-18 Liberty. All of a sudden, Lee Summit leads it now 38-19 with 8:24 left in the quarter. Maracek will kick off again. Lowry and Book have been the return men all night, and Book will be on the near side. And it's headed in his direction. Now it takes that funny bouncing into the end zone. And at the 20 is where Liberty will have the ball once again. Well, we were talking about the dynasty rankings, and it actually goes back to 2003. So over the last 15 years, calpreps.com went back and researched all the teams in all the states and ranked the top 10 of all time. Rockhurst is the number one dynasty in Missouri, the number one team over the last 15 years. Blue Springs was second, Webb City third, and Blue Springs South fourth, and Lee Summit West was fifth. Liberty came in to the next 5. They came in at number 15 all time. The rest of the top 10, Staley in their young history as a team, number 6. Christian Brothers out of St. Louis, 7. Kearney was number 8, with Kirkwood and Harrisonville 9 and 10 in the last 15 years rankings. That's a nice out pattern and a completion there to Jacob Brown right near the sticks. We'll see if they give him enough for the first down on 1st and 10. But a long way here to go for Liberty. It is short of a first down by a yard and a half. Alex Roush making the start tonight. But big plays here in the last few minutes by Landon Willis of Lee Summit with the punt return, and Tyler Perry, the interception, picked for a touchdown. Roush to the sideline again. And right at the ankles, that will be a completion for a first down, and that's strike. And now a late flag behind the Blue Jays offense. So strike makes the catch for the first down, and now the penalty was on Liberty. And I'm not sure it wasn't an illegal substitution again, although I didn't see the indication. A lot of bugs being worked out here in the first game. In fact, one of the coaches tonight, Lee Summit's Eric Thomas, said one of the biggest challenges is getting the guys that are used to playing on Monday nights and JV games used to the Friday schedule and playing under the lights Friday night. And I think you've seen a little bit of that tonight. That was a 15-yard penalty, so it was more than an illegal substitution. And Rouse throwing long, and it is out of bounds. And that penalty was against Lee Summit, as you can see the ball marked near midfield at the 49. Trying to go to Michael Book down the sideline, but incomplete. Now second down. 7:58 remaining. Javian Byers comes into the lineup for Liberty. One of the first times we've had a chance to call his name. He'll be a wideout on the left side, it appears. And the Blue Jays from their own 49 will go 2-by-2 here. Actually, 2-by-3 with 3 men on the right side. Alex Roush getting rid of it quickly, and the comeback is a little off the mark. He was trying for Byers, the sophomore receiver, on that left side. So now third down. But this game turned around, and boy, didn't it. As Lee Summit has scored 3 consecutive times. The first one came on that end-around pass, belt to Pino. Then the punt return by Willis, and now the interception by Perry, all scoring for Lee Summit just over about a 10-minute span. Roush on 3rd and 10. Pressure, but picked up. Drops it over the top. I think that's Lowry down to the 38-yard line. And that would be enough for a first down. Nope, take that back. It's Jacob Brown that made the catch. And Brown does have enough for a first down. So a nice pass by Roush as he dropped it over the top of the zone defense and into the hands of his receiver Brown. But now looking down, there's a penalty around the Liberty 47-yard line. And that looks as if it's going to be on Lee Summit again. So the Tigers are doing themselves no favors here. And that appears to be another 15-yard penalty. Wow, that's 2 in this drive. And puts the ball at the 23-yard line. And again, part of the learning process. Boy, you can't make dumb fouls when you're trying to hang on to this lead. 7:49 to play. Roush caught in the flats. Down to about the 17. Coming up to make the tackle was Michael Garozzo, who we haven't talked about a lot tonight. Garozzo is one of the outside guys, and he went up to make that tackle. Gain is about 7, second down and 3. 7:19 and counting. And here comes the rush, and down goes Strauss. Garozzo was the man that got to him first, it appeared, but also Anudike was there, and they will share a sack at the 25-yard line. And third down and a dozen coming up for the Blue Jays with time continuing to run now, 6:50. For the most part, Liberty tonight has done a good job picking up the blitzing of Anudike, and the linebacker, Spencer, had a good first half rushing the passer. But now it's Garozzo and Anudike, and now under pressure again. The ball up for grabs and incomplete. And making the charge on the quarterback on that play was Lawan Miller. He's a 5'11" sophomore. So Miller puts the pressure on. The pass falls incomplete, and now 4th and a dozen for Liberty. 6:28 to play. They have got to get inside the 15-yard line and inside the 14-yard line for a first down. We'll see how close he can come. He's going to have the first down at the 8. And that is Evan Strike who makes the catch. The all-conference receiver comes up with another big catch as a Tiger is down at the 18-yard line. So Liberty comes through on 4th down. They'll have the ball at the 8.5-yard line, but first a timeout to tend to the injured player, and we'll be back in a moment with more on a10varsity.com. I've not been able to identify the injured player, but getting up and making his way off on his own. It looks like that is Garozzo, who was shaken up, but as you can see, he is walking off under his own power, and hopefully he'll be back in a moment. 6:21 to play, 4th quarter from Liberty. The home team driving here, but down by 19 points. Blue Jays and Lee Summit. The Jays went 5-0 in the conference last year, and they are facing a loss in conference to start the 2018 season. Glad you can be with us here on 810 Varsity. This was a very good game before Lee Summit just took control of it in the 3rd quarter. And there's a catch in the end zone. The defensive back has it, and it will count as an interception. Lee Summit has picked off the ball. It's the 2nd turnover committed by Liberty, and I think that's Willis that picked it off and then was able to stay in bounds. So Willis has the interception. Earlier it was Tyler Perry with an interception, and 2 interceptions, 2 turnovers for Liberty, and none on Lee Summit in the game, and that's a telling factor in this 38-19 lead for the Tigers. Well, next week there will be more football on 810 Varsity. The games to be announced next week. The Liberty Blue Jays will be playing at Park Hill, and Lee Summit will be home against Belton. Watch for all the announced coverage games on a10varsity.com. Lee Summit with a comfortable 19-point lead and 6 minutes 9 seconds left in the ballgame. Iapino will hand off tackle, and let's see which running back is in there right now. Micah Manning has been kind of the go-to guy, although we've seen Willis there, and it is Manning. He'll pick up 3, and that'll keep the clock rolling at 5:46, and that's, of course, what Lee Summit wants to do here with their 19-point lead. And again, a 19-18 game until Ryan Belt on an option rollout from a wideout through to Topino in the end zone. Lee Summit retook the lead with 10:59 to play in the 4th quarter. It's been all Lee Summit since then. Bobbled and nearly picked off by Liberty. Trying to get there for the Blue Jays. It looked like Carroll Simpson, the cornerback, had a shot at it. Incomplete, brings up 3rd down and 7 for Lee Summit. Clock stops at 5:20, 4th quarter. And interesting how those 3 touchdowns that has given Lee Summit this 19-point lead occurred. The option rollout for the slot man coming to his right and the pass. Then a punt return for a touchdown, and then the interception for a touchdown. So they've done it all sorts of different ways. Topino is going to be a couple of yards short of the first down, and now 4th down, and likely Topino will go back to punt. Matt Henning is a sophomore on the defensive line. He made the tackle for the Blue Jays. Lowry will go out as the punt returner and stand around his own 35-yard line. And Topinio will boot it away. They will let, I'm sure, as much time roll off the clock as they can. 14 seconds to snap the ball and 4:41 left in the game. They may even take a timeout here the way they're standing there with 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and now 1 second on the play clock. They do indeed take a timeout. And so Lee Summit will take that timeout, and they took it down to 4:29 left in the game. 38-19, it's Lee Summit over Liberty, and back with more in a moment on 810varsity.com. Topinio will kick it to Lowry here on a 4th down coming up for Lee Summit. They lead it by 19 points, Lee Summit does. Lowry has shown some magic, but so has Topinio. He's done a little bit of everything. Lowry had a 78-yard touchdown run and another long run, and has been very good for Liberty. The spiral is headed toward the sideline, and what a nice bounce for Topinio, who continues to impress. Among all the other things he has done, his punting has been very good tonight, with the exception of one. He has knocked one out at the 4-yard line, and he knocks this one all the way down to the Liberty 13-yard line. And in a moment in which Liberty really needed the worst out of Topinio, they got his best. That's a pretty nice punt, and Liberty's got a long way to go, down by 19 points. But again, good things for both teams tonight. We saw Liberty fight back from 10 down early. They certainly didn't fold the tents. They led it at halftime. They led actually at the end of the third quarter as well, before Lee Summit has come alive really in all three aspects of the game. Their offense has produced a couple of big plays. Topinio threw a 60-yard touchdown pass, for instance. And he has caught a pass. So, again, has done a little bit of everything. They've scored on defense, and they've scored on special teams. And that's a dangerous pass intended to the right flat for Jacob Brown. 2 interceptions by Lee Summit tonight. Tyler Perry's went for a touchdown, and Landon Willis stopped a deep drive by the Blue Jays with a pick along the sideline in the end zone. Tigers have not turned the ball over tonight. Roush is facing 2nd down and 10 from his own 13-yard line. 1-by-3 set. Quick. Nathan Gray has scored 2 touchdowns rushing tonight, but cannot catch that one. Check that. That's Evan Strike that makes the catch. And he'll pick up a couple, but only to the 15-yard line, and time grows short for the Blue Jays. 3:55 and counting in the fourth quarter. We mentioned a bit ago the administrators at Lee Summit. Let's give credit and recognition to Principal April Adams of Liberty and Director of Athletics Jason Cahill for their support tonight and help preparing for this game. There's a pass, not sure who it was intended for, but it was knocked down in the backfield by Jalen Chairs, a senior safety. So now 4th down, and will Liberty choose to punt here? It looks like they will. 3:36 to play. On a 4th and 8, they will boot the ball away, and the dangerous Landon Willis awaits at his own 41-yard line. After the game tonight, we'll give you a quick rundown of the scoring as we open play in the Suburban Red Conference tonight. It looks like Lee Summit's going to take a win here, and this doesn't help Liberty's cause any, as that snap is way over the head of the punter, and a safety will add 2 more to Lee's Lee Summit's total, 40-19. And that comes with 3:36 to play. And the free kick will be made by Liberty in a moment. So it's gotten a little bit ugly for the head coach of Liberty, Chad Freegan, and his staff. But I'll tell you what, I had a visit with him this week, and he's such an optimistic guy. And I'm told the story when we had Steve Butler here at halftime about his reaction when one of his assistant coaches this week kind of looked at the wrong players during some film and had prepared for a player that had already graduated from Lee Summit. And the assistant coach, who's a friend, told me that Chad was just absolutely fantastic about it. He said, you know what? That happens sometimes. It's very hard to tell for these first games, and it gets a whole lot easier scouting opponents as you go through the season. Isn't that the truth? So I'm sure Chad will have the Blue Jays bouncing back next week. And they've played well at times today. They certainly have some weapons. Roush, Lowry on the offensive side. Gray has scored 2 touchdowns. And Lee Summit's going to be awful proud to be 1-0, as their coach Eric Thomas said before the game when I visited with him. He said they kind of got it figured out last year that running the ball and playing good defense is a pretty good formula. They finished last year by knocking Lee Summit West, the number 1 seed, out of the district. And they have kept the momentum going. The free kick comes now. .336 to play. And that tackle may get flagged, and it does at the 41-yard line. Looked like they had the returner, and that looks like Micah Manning by the shoulders or maybe even by the helmet. So Manning's return to the 41 will be aided, it looks like, by an illegal tackle by Liberty. And with 3:28 to play, you can bet Lee Summit will keep it on the ground here and try to run this clock. And it's been such an interesting turn because such a competitive game, back and forth. Lee Summit led 10-0, then 10-6. Liberty ended up leading it 13-10 at the half. Lee Summit led 18-13, then Liberty 19-18. But since that point, 3 touchdowns and now a safety has made it 40-19. Excuse me. And the penalty puts the ball all the way at the 44-yard line, as you can see. Tigers, as we said, next week at home. They'll be facing Belton. Their theme this year is outwork and overachieve. They've been doing a lot of fundraising for their program. Here's a burst through by Manning, and Micah Manning still on his feet to the 30-yard line. Manning picks up about 13 on that run. The outwork and overachieve theme for Lee Summit was part of their August 11th, their annual dinner and auction. And you talk about Lee Summit High School dropping down into the second tier of size schools in the Kansas City Suburban Conference. A lot of people might be kind of shocked to realize that Lee Summit High School, once the biggest school in the state, is now the 3rd biggest school in Lee Summit of the public high schools, Lee Summit North, Lee Summit West included. And that's why they're in the Suburban Red. And a delay of game here as they tried to take the clock down but didn't get the snap off. 2 turnovers in the game for Liberty. Certainly has had an impact. Both were scoring plays. I take that back. One was a scoring play. The interception by Tyler Perry went 40 yards. The other one stopped a Liberty drive in the end zone. And taking the ball himself, I believe that's Pearsall that's running. We haven't seen him run a lot. He's been more of a passer, but you can see he's got a little bit of shake and bake too, and he's down to the 26. Kaya Topino, though, has been the Swiss Army knife tonight for the Tigers with a touchdown receiving, a touchdown throwing, and an extra point both throwing and receiving as it was batted back to him on a 2-point try. He ran it in. He has punted well. So junior Kaya Tapino is someone you'll want to watch through the year. Second down and about 6. Remember the delay of game penalty made it 1st and 15, and now here's another penalty, and I believe they did the same thing as they tried to run around the end here late in the game. Landon Willis was off and running, but they didn't beat the clock on the jet sweep. So instead of 2nd and 6, this should be 2nd and around 11 from the 32. Take a moment to say thank you to Jim McClintock tonight, who not only was called in late to help us with this game, the video work, and did the video work, but also worked as the technician to get this game on. He faced a lot of roadblocks in order to get this game on and came through with flying colors, as this is again straight up the middle, faking the jet sweep into the 25-yard line, short of a first down. So thank you, Jim. Appreciate your work tonight. See who that was. I think that was Tapino from the tailback spot taking the ball and running in, and it was. So Kaya Tapino running it straight ahead, and they'll try to milk the clock again with now under 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter and 16 seconds left on the clock. Third down and about 3.5. Lee Summit with a significant lead here and nowhere to go for Landon Willis, and that's one of the first time we've seen him not have success. And so they'll be able to take the clock down to about 1:10 here, fourth down coming up. They have, of course, the option for a field goal here, as they have hit a field goal already. Jacob Moracek with a 42-yarder from this end of the field in the first quarter. But they're going to run the clock down here, and they've got 20 more seconds to let it go. So it's going to be well under a minute before this snap takes place. Lee Summit running out the string here. They'll be 1-0, and Liberty will be 0-1, of course, opening weekend. And now timeout taken by Lee Summit as the clock is down to 54 seconds. And we will step aside as well. A10varsity.com is back after this. Lee Summit after the timeout. They've opted to go for the field goal, and this will be a 44 attempt for Moraka. He hit from 42, and this has got the distance, and it is good. So the young man who last year, as a sophomore, went 2 of 6, his longest was 25 yards, is now 2 of 2 as a junior with a 42 and now a 44-yard field goal to his credit. How about that? Lee Summit again shows that they have some weapons. They score with 48 seconds left in the game on the Moracek 44-yard field goal. So Moracek makes it now 43-19. And he'll be kicking off again. He's been very busy, and you'll look again after the end of the third quarter, starting with just under 11 minutes in the fourth quarter. The lead has gone from Liberty leading at 19-18 to Lee Summit leading at 43-19. So 24 unanswered points for the Tigers, coming all in the fourth quarter, those 24 unanswered. I believe this was Lowry from the 3. Yeah, check that. It's not Lowry. At the 21. Running it back was, let's check and see who that was. They had someone new in there. Logan Taylor was the man that brought it back, and he was crunched pretty good. It's right about the 20-yard line is where Liberty will start out. Alex Roush, the quarterback throughout the game. We'll see if he comes back out. There are just 39 seconds left. And this one is without a doubt over. Just a couple of more plays. We'll see how Liberty plays it. And they have brought in Luke Smith, the backup quarterback. And handing off maybe back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. That is Quentin Rash, who we saw briefly in the game early on. And it appears Liberty does not have to snap the ball again if they choose not to. Well, after the game, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back with our scoring wrap-up and wrap up things here from Liberty. Lee Summit has been impressive in the last 11 minutes of this game. And Rash sneaking out to the 23-yard line, and that will do it for this game. The final from Liberty tonight is the visiting team, Lee Summit, coming from behind a couple of different times. After getting an early lead, they had to battle back, but they win going away with a large fourth quarter. The final, the Liberty Blue Jays going down at home to Lee Summit 43-19. Wrap-ups and highlights coming your way in just a moment. A look at tonight's scoring summary as Lee Summit wins it 43-19 here. And it started with a surge by Lee Summit in the first quarter. Landon Willis made a bad punt by Liberty. It turned into 7 points as he ran the ball in from 7 yards out following a short punt. The drive covered about 40 yards. Willis, a 7-yard touchdown run for the Tigers. The extra point was good, and Lee Summit led 7-0 with 8:25 left in the first. Jacob Maracek hit the first of 2 field goals tonight for Lee Summit with 1:14 left in the first quarter. This one from 42 yards out in the first quarter made it 10-0 Lee Summit. Liberty got off track on their first 2 drives, but got right back on track in their final drive of the first quarter. In fact, it was the final play of the first quarter, going 78 yards. Jack Lowry took it around the right end, and the junior scampered into the end zone with no time left on the first quarter clock. Extra point no good. And at the first quarter break, Lee Summit 10 and Liberty 6. Liberty came back in the second quarter late, just before the halftime. Nathan Gray ended a long drive, a 96-yard drive, with a 4-yard touchdown plunge. The extra point was good. And at half, the Blue Jays owned a 13-10 lead. In the second half, it opened 3 minutes in with Tupinio going down the left sideline to belt a 60-yard touchdown pass. The 2-point try was batted back to Tupinio, who threw the pass. He caught it and ran it in. The 2-point try was good, and at that point, Tupinio's long touchdown and 2 points made it Lee Summit 18 and Liberty 13. Following that, Landon Willis had, go back to Liberty with 6:38 left in the third quarter. Gray, a 4-yard touchdown run, his second touchdown run of the night. And Liberty led it 19-18 as a 2-point try was no good. But that's about as good of a lead as Liberty was going to have, as after that it was all Lee Summit. Down 19-18, and with just under 11 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, Ryan Belt came around left end, took a handoff, and threw the option pass to Kaya Tupinio, 13 yards out. The kick was no good, and Lee Summit took the lead 24-19 with 10:59 to play. Then it was all Lee Summit. Landon Willis took a punt back 42 yards for a touchdown, his second score of the game. The extra point good, 30-19. Lee Summit with 9:31 to play. On the next Liberty drive, Tyler Perry picks off a pass for Lee Summit. He runs it in 40 yards. 38-19. Lee Summit with the extra point. A safety, a snap over the head of the punter, resulted in 2 more points for Lee Summit, 40-19. And then finally, with 48 seconds left, Narachek with the 44-yard field goal. And the final is Lee Summit 43 and Liberty 19. So an up-and-down game for both teams, but boy, did Lee Summit put together a fourth quarter to be remembered, as on the road they are now 1-0 and Liberty falls to 0-1. Liberty plays at Park Hill next week, and Lee Summit will host Belton. Once again, we thank you for joining us on 810varsity.com. I'm Rick Cole for Jim McClintock. We enjoyed being with you, and we look to see you again next week.